All right. Hello, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to Comic Book Radio. I'm your host, Peter Cimetti. This is episode 151. And tonight, my guest is SARA Frazetta. We're going to be talking about preserving and building on the legacy of Frank Frazetta, her grandfather. For those of you who maybe don't know, there's links in the description of the show where you can go and learn more. But don't go to them yet. Don't go yet. We're going to have Sarah on in just a second. And then go after the show, once the show's done. Before we bring her on, I want to say hello to those of you in the chat. We got Blaze. Blaze is here. What's up, Blaze? Cantonese Comic Kid. How's it going? We got a Rad Rogue 1. Says, I love Frazetta art. Who doesn't? I'm sure there's someone. Some poor, strange, odd, unusual soul. But yeah. Ara Galenian, what's up, Ara? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here tonight. Spicer McLeroy in the chat. What's up, Spicer? Says, welcome, fellow warriors. Hope you're all doing wonderfully. Thanks so much to Pete for putting this together. Frazetta is the biggest influence in my art. Thank you, Sarah, for keeping the legacy going. Look at that. That's great. Yan Zhao is here too tonight. What's up, buddy? How's it going? Jaded One in the house. How's it going, Jaded One? What Geeks Do Network is here as well. What's up? Says, hey, Pete and Sarah, excited for the show. There you go. Michael Desjardins says, hail my chat. What's up, Michael? Hex Allen is here too. What's up, Hex? Al Matra. How's it going, Al Matra? Hope you're doing good. We also have Jerry Klein. What's up? Hope you're doing well. Michael says, talking to Hex. There you go. Rad Rogue 1 is here. How's it going, Rad? Eric DeGuapo in the chat as well. What's up, Eric? We got Jefferson Roswell here too. What's up, Jefferson? Hope you're doing well. Steve, I am one. How's it going, Steve? Good morning to you wherever you are. It is the evening by me, but if it is the morning by you, good morning. We also got JW Learning here. What's up, JW? Shane O'Sullivan. I know it's in the morning by you over in Ireland there. Good morning to you. Jetto Jaga in the house. What's up, Jetto? Conspiracies and Comics is here too. How's it going, CNC? We got Johnny Slaction in the house as well. What's up, Johnny Slaction? No, you are not late. You are on time. We are a little late, but we had technical difficulties. Me first, and then Sarah, and then me, and then Sarah, and then... It's all cleared up now. Technology, isn't it grand? Mauricio, what's up, Mauricio? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here tonight. All right, and Steve, also in the UK over there, in England, 2 a.m. Man, thank you for being here. Holy smokes. I don't think I'd be here at 2 a.m. If I was, I wouldn't be intelligible. I'm barely intelligible right now. All right, so without further ado, let's bring her on, the woman of the hour, Miss Sarah Frazetta. How's it going, Sarah?
Hello, good to be here, Peter, and hello, everyone in the chat. Hey, your intro was really motivating. Like, I almost want to go work right now and not have this talk. I'm just kidding.
I got to get fired up.
Need water.
This is like my second start of the day. I work like 9 to whatever it is, and then I work again from 9 to whatever that is. So it's like I'm getting all motivated again, after this. Yeah. It's like, yeah. But I'm glad.
Spirit of the hustler. I love it.
Exactly.
Love it.
I'm glad you're digging it. Appreciate it. But thank you for being here. Really appreciate you spending some time with us tonight. I've got a million questions for you, and we're going to have a great conversation. But before we get started, for those that maybe aren't familiar with you and what you do, can you give us a brief intro for yourself?
Yeah, I'm Sarah Frazetta. I run FrazettaGirls.com, legacy brand honoring my grandfather, Frank Frazetta. And we are doing a lot of things, which we'll talk about tonight.
I like that. Doing a lot of things. I got to use that more often.
Yeah.
I'm just doing.
I'm horrible with intros. Yeah, a lot of things. Just keep it real vague.
Yeah, exactly. Keep them guessing. Give some mystery behind it. People are like, "What's your plans for the future?" To do a lot of things.
A lot of things.
That works. So let's touch upon, before we get to the future and what you've got going on now. Let's go back to the past a bit. Let's go back to when you kind of started carrying this legacy a bit and getting it out there. How did that all come about?
Yeah, so it was a few years after my grandpa passed away. My mom came to me. She was like, "Hey, I know you really want to work in entertainment, but what would be better than working with your grandfather's legacy? I mean, he's like a lot of the reason so much of the entertainment you like exists." And I really had no idea, and still to this day, it's still building on how enormous his influence was, and I'm still discovering that all from the fans and just everyone from all different walks of life and different genres and mediums. I mean, they all are like, Frazetta's the reason I'm doing this. So that was really cool. But I mean, it all really started simple. It was a comic convention in Miami, a simple booth with a black T-shirt with the Frazetta signature in red on it, a couple vintage posters, and I have to thank Robert Rodriguez. He was the one that really inspired me too to get behind it and show me what could be for Frazetta branding. My grandma did a great job. She had a lot to manage with her family and everything else. So, and it was a different time. But I saw Robert's vision and what to do with it, and that helped inspire me to really want to get behind it and get serious about making the Frazetta Girls brand.
Was it ever something when you were growing up that you were aware of the unbelievably impactful legacy of your grandfather, or was it just like, that's Grandpa?
It was really so stupid. It sounds so stupid. I realized that, but it was just Grandpa. I mean, I understood. I saw his paintings everywhere. I was in the studio with him since I was like born, but it just didn't click over because he just didn't really talk about it very much. At that time in his life, he suffered a lot of strokes and thyroid issues. So he wasn't able to really articulate and go back in the past. And it would really frustrate him if you asked him questions, because he had some little bit of like dementia from when I was a little girl. So he just really liked to stay present and talk about video games and music and films and photography and things that he could grasp in the present time and space. But regarding the legacy of like how many people he impacted, no, I had no idea. I mean, when I found out, like, Titanic was everything to me. James Cameron was everything to me. And it wasn't until like a few years ago I learned James Cameron was a huge fan of Frazetta. And I was like, if I would have known that when I was like in fourth grade, loving Leonardo and the whole movie, I would have been like, Grandpa. I'm happy I didn't know, because I think that would have I don't know, it would have just changed our relationship.
Yeah, I could see that. Even now, do you ever feel like it's such a tremendous legacy, and it has been so impactful and meant so much to a lot of people? Have you ever felt a little bit intimidated by that?
Not for me. I mean, it's all about my grandpa, so it's really just taking it all in and absorbing and going, God, what a giant he was. What like to be this vulnerable, to be himself and change the way everything is now. So not for me. It's not about me. So no.
Now about you, I've seen. Let me just have you answer this. Are you artistic as well? Are you creative as well?
I'm creative. I'm finally so excited to announce it. I've been saying this for years, and it's exhausting at this point. But I signed up for art classes, so I'm starting. And God, it's torture. It doesn't come naturally to me at all. But yeah, I dabble in a lot of creative things. I'm a little bit scattered, and this year was all about trying to get more focused and say, okay, this is the goal when you have to finish something. So last year we started my partner and I, Joe, we started doing some short films. I started writing those. I'm going to do another one this summer. And I kind of just go wherever the wind pushes me at the moment. I'm like, okay, this is my inspiration right now. So will I ever be a legend like my grandpa? Hell no, because I'm not that focused. But I love art in all forms.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've seen some of your sketches. You've done sketches and everything. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I just had a comic series with Dynamite. They were so gracious
Yeah.
to do a Vampirella series. So it was called Dead Flowers, and I co-wrote that with Bob Freeman, and Alberto Locatelli illustrated it, and it was really cool because I could see what discipline did for me. And when I first started putting up my sketches online, they were horrible. They're still pretty bad, objectively speaking, but they're pretty bad. Especially when I'm doing figure drawings now in class. I'm like, damn, I mean, you're an artist, so you have to draw from real life, or you'll never be able to really draw, because you can't just copy someone else's art and say, okay, I'm drawing now. I don't have a grasp on it. And that's always been a little bit of not a little bit, it's the insecurity I have, because I haven't put in the discipline to actually learn and say, oh, I know how to draw, even if it's, a fraction of, or not even a fraction. It'll never even be 1% of Frazetta, but I'm not trying to do that. I just think it's really cool to be able to try new things and explore.
Yeah. I think to get into that headspace, that creative headspace, to be able to make something from nothing like that.
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
and
there was nothing on there before. Now there's an image,
Exactly. And to understand all of his fans. I mean, it's predominantly artists, and that's the community that, we're working with. And it feels good to kind of know what I'm talking about when I'm talking with other artists, to understand, a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah. To be able to, it's so helpful to be able to communicate on that level at the very least, and even have a little bit of an understanding of the work that goes into it, and like you talked about the discipline behind the craft.
Yeah, I mean, Luca, to add on to that, when I was at Luca in Italy this year, I was asking all of the artists, and I'm going to ask you too. I was asking everyone, like, how many hours, the artists that I think are really great, I'm like, how many hours a day do you spend drawing? 12. They all said 12. I'm like, 12 hours, insane. But that's the kind of dedication you need to be great at anything. You have to live it and breathe it.
Absolutely.
So how many hours a day do you draw?
When I wear so many hats. This one is the one I have on right now. But if it's writing, I'm in that zone. It's hours. It's the whole day. It's like that's all I'm absorbed into. I unfortunately don't have the luxury of having the time to be absorbed into that, where it's like publisher stuff, writing stuff, art stuff, packing and shipping stuff,
I get it.
Yeah. But it's funny because I like to do really quick sketches. And the reason why I developed doing that over the years was if I could get a lot of sketches done, the more sketches you can get done, the more you can get paid. So everyone's like, are you able to do that in like 5 minutes or, a minute or two? And I'm like, well, you'd be surprised how many thousands of hours it takes to be able to draw something in 5 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Yeah.
You got to lay the foundation.
Yeah, 100%. So about you growing up, what were, and you don't have to necessarily relate this to, I want to do a deeper dive into what you've been through and the things that you were inspired by. So you don't have to relate it necessarily everything to your grandfather with this. But for you growing up, what were some of the things that inspired you? What were some of the things that you got into creatively that you were like, wow, this speaks to me, this resonates with me?
I don't know if I really got into anything that inspired me necessarily. I mean, aside from I guess maybe not performing or showing anyone else, but for me, music's always been my number one. So I still do this, but when I was a little girl, I would just be in my room for hours playing like TLC, No Scrubs, performing dances and Spice Girls routine dances. I still do it. Sometimes I post it on Instagram shamelessly. I'm like, I have a pretty stiff neck now, so it kind of looks like Britney Spears trying to dance. I have a theory. I know
kind of like that Michael Keaton Batman thing. You gotta move the whole.
It's like. And I'm like trying to be hot. No, you have a stiff neck. It's horrible. But yeah, I have to feel something. But yeah, a lot of dancing. Barbie was everything to me. So I'd spend as a kid hours and hours and hours doing Barbie worlds, like storytelling, right? I mean, when you're a kid, you're playing with your cars or your action figures or your Barbies, and they had a whole freaking world. And then I moved it into Sims. So I think I've always been doing like storytelling things. And then like with music accompanied to that. And that's kind of what I'm realizing, you come to a certain age and you have to figure out, okay, what do I really need to like calm my soul and feel like good and grounded and like a human and be alone? What do I need to do to find that? And now I'm kind of back at that point again of like, oh, it's always been storytelling. I did it since I can remember. I mean, I remember I was like, again, with my grandparents, I'd just have like these little figurines and I'd be in a long car ride and I'd be like making up stories and acting like a schizophrenic with little voices in my head. So yeah, and then
that's unusual. I still do that.
We're weirdos, it's good. It's good to be the outcast. But yeah, and I think with my grandpa, I mean, he was the one though that really got me into music and film, and not, of course, those things that I mentioned. He wasn't like playing Barbie with me, but I mean, he was just like a fanatic about showing me all the classical composers that inspired him. And I would just sit there. He told me I would sit there and like compose it with, I wasn't composing it, pretend composing it, and just watch, movies over and over again. And that got me into that rhythm of like, that's entertainment is everything to me because of my grandpa. I was with him when I was, like I said, an infant, and my grandparents, they basically begged my parents to have a baby so they could have a baby. So that's how close I was to them. It was like their baby, because they were bored in their 60s. And then they were like, okay, now we're going to take this little baby and we're going to show it everything we like, and we're going to try to mold it into what we want. So that was the little, test subject for a while.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that. That's incredible. For you, in terms of art, and I mean all over the place, music, movies, paintings, etc. What are some of the definitive things for you that make you, that you say, no, you can't possibly take that out of my life. If you took that out of my life, that's a part of me. That's so ingrained into your soul.
Definitely music. I mean, I listen to everything from hip hop, 80s, synthesizers and drums. Like you've got my soul. I was listening to a song the other day. I don't know if you'll know this reference. It's called JD Wrist, and it's by West Side Gun. And I was listening to it, and he has a lot of, he's from Buffalo, New York, and he's got like just so much soul, and his music is definitely inspired by classical, and then like a lot of 80s kind of, like I said, synthesizers, drums. And I texted my partner, Joe, and I said, you know what really makes me sad? One day I'm going to die and not be able to listen to this song anymore. And that's what music does to me. When I think about like how much it affects me and how I feel like goosebumps everywhere and it just running through me, I think about, oh no, one day I'm going to be dead and I'm not going to listen to this anymore. So for sure, I feel like movies, I have some movies that I watch on repeat that make me feel, I guess it's, I don't know if this is true. The whole therapy movement now where everything's like a problem. When you just like to watch movies, they say, oh, it's like a comforting thing. I don't know. But anyway, so I don't know if it's a comforting thing or if I just really love the movies so much. We're going to go with I love the movies, but like Never Been Kissed, like all these like really 90s, like kind of rom-com, the like sweet, comforting movies. I really like those. But then I have such a range. I love like The Departed. I don't know if you've seen that movie. Like, I mean, I just have
Jack Nicholson, DiCaprio.
Yeah. Yep. And The Revenant. Like,
is that comforting?
No, that one's not comforting, but that one gets my adrenaline going. But nothing like, I mean, I could go on and on with how much art impacts me, but for a simple answer with music all day. Yeah.
That one really does hit. It hits hard, man. But I think if you did pass on, or if any of us pass on, I think we can listen to it whenever we want, whenever we want. I
hope so. I don't know if there'll be rap in heaven though.
There's got to be.
Maybe there's got to be hip hop.
Yeah. There's gotta
wherever we go, it's gotta be music.
somebody gave the divine spark to have that inspiration to create such things.
Absolutely, it's
So
true.
this is how you shall express yourself.
Yeah,
You know. So yeah, that's interesting in terms of what you're talking about with comfort movies and music and things like that. And if anyone ever is trying to dissect that in terms of just dwindling it down into almost like we're just machines. Like, well, you do this
yeah.
because of that. You're broken inside, so you repair with that. There's a
Yeah, it's kind of
coldness
ruined
to
it for me
that.
a little. I agree. It's just we've gotten into that a little too. I mean, I think like the whole therapy movement. It was slept on for so long, and everyone shunned it. Now it's like it's like too extreme, and we got to get to the middle again, where it's like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah. It's a
no,
little too mechanical now, losing the
it is.
humanity and the
Yeah, because
emotion
even
side
for
of
me
it.
to like think about that, it's like I think about that, and I instantly like. That's why I say it. It's like I'm like, oh God, is this a coping thing? Are people thinking that? And am I thinking that? And I'm like, why am I thinking this? And it's like,
Well,
oh, it's because it's damn Instagram.
before you go down that neurotic algorithm that whatever wants you
Yeah.
to think, just be like, you know what? I don't care. I don't care if that's what that is. That's what
Yeah.
I like.
I'm
I
still watching
enjoy
them.
it.
I'm gonna watch the movie 100 more times, just like my grandpa did.
Exactly. And then you tell them to cope with it. You deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna watch Never Been Kissed one more time because I want to.
Someone's gotta,
Hey,
Sarah.
someone's got to.
But see, that's the part that I think we all gravitate towards when we talk about art, when we talk about these things, because they're extensions of ourselves, and we just didn't know they existed yet until we come upon them, and we're like, oh, wow, that speaks to me. This thing
Yeah.
that how could they have possibly have known when whoever it is created this thing, like when your grandfather had created all the art that he had created over the years. How could he have possibly known at that point in time how unbelievably influential he would have been? That if not for the things that he had created, it wouldn't have sparked Lord knows how many people to go on and create what they went on to create. And then they influence others to create what they create, and so on and so forth. I mean, the
Yeah.
whole thing is amazing. And that's the power of art. That's the power of stuff like this, that it can transcend. You don't even you might not even share the planet with someone at that point in time, but something hits you and it speaks to you, and you're like, wow, this is like, for that one brief moment or maybe longer, it's like you're living again. Whoever is not here is now in the present, and you're there. You share this moment in time, even though you never shared anything past that. And
It's
that's the beautiful part of all this.
Oh, it's so true. It's very poetic. It's the art is the collective consciousness, and it shows the immortality of everyone. And it's a really beautiful thing. You said that really well, Peter.
Oh, thank you. I try. But speaking of your grandfather's legacy, now when it's come to that, what have been some of, and this might be, I mean, feel free to go into this topic as much as you want, or not at all. What have been some of the difficulties, some of the things that have been a bit of a daunting task in terms of carrying that legacy and making sure that it's being well taken care of?
Uh, Getting rid of the snakes that have been following it for a long time. So undoing some of the things that my grandma left to be handled, and that was, I think, a lot. I mean, I just got done with a 5-year lawsuit, and that was, getting hit with that kind of at an early age, and quite frankly, having no money and going, well, how are we going to do this? But what that did for us was like, well, we got to get it somehow. So we need to work really hard because this isn't going to go away. And especially, I had a pretty good upbringing. I mean, I was very, very fortunate. My parents worked really hard, and we had my grandparents. So I never really was confronted with anything like very big in my life financially. So that was probably like the first huge thing. And of course, like I said, that was related directly to the Frazetta business. And then dealing with family issues, like kind of realizing what money does, and not even money in our case, but what I guess I would just say it bluntly, like, again, ego, people wanting to do a certain thing, and then it shows. I don't think it necessarily shows people like, oh, this is who this person is. Sometimes though, when things happen, you get the worst side of people, and unfortunately, that was most of my family, and that's everything I knew growing up. So I saw them in a certain way, and then had to accept the other side of them and say, okay, it is what it is now. So that's been really difficult. But I mean, everything else has been fortunately amazing. Like the fans have been so incredibly open and just like receptive and helpful and excited. So there's always the good and bad.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's something too that's really relatable for a lot of people, no matter what. It always seems like, even within my own family, when my grandfather died, and then when my uncles died, particularly one uncle, man, there was sides of my relatives that came out that was just like, wow, like beyond petty, beyond, like they could split like the pennies in half, they would.
I like that. I'm going to use that.
Just the craziest, the craziest things.
And I think it's like survival, it's human. I look at it as like a nature thing. It's not an evolved human form. It's not in any way spiritual. It's very egocentric and primal. And I can understand it. Doesn't mean I like it. Doesn't mean any of us like it. I mean, going through that and seeing like an ant go crazy, it's like, wow, what? Thought you loved me. What happened? Just a little girl. They're like, no, you're not. You're a grown woman and we hate you now. Okay, got it.
Man, oh man. Yeah, I hear you. Man,
we all go through it, like you said. Everyone. Yeah. I hear it all the time. And when I open up about it, people are like, yeah, my family does the same thing. I just say with the family stuff with Frazetta, I mean, no one killed each other, so they're doing pretty good. It was a lot. It was a lot at stake.
That is pretty good. But I think you gotta raise that bar a little bit. It's like, listen, no one died. So
it's like being like The Sopranos over here. My Long Island showing.
Oh, no way. You're from Long Island. I grew up on Long Island.
Family is, but
okay.
Pennsylvania, then Florida.
Oh, all right. Yeah, same thing.
We're
they
in
both
Long
have
Island.
a Levittown, and they both have a Levittown. So same thing.
It is the same thing.
Yeah, I grew up in the first 5 years of my life I was in Brooklyn. Then we moved out to Long Island, and I was there, I don't know, up until maybe 16 or so. 15,
like my grandpa.
16, something like that years ago. Now I'm up in New England, and I ain't going back. I ain't going back to New York. No way.
No.
They could keep
Why?
Just too many. When I never felt like I belonged there. Never felt like it was home. Even though that's where a home was.
Right.
There's a million reasons for it. But yeah, the area in and of itself, I always knew, even when I was a kid, I want to leave. I want to get out of here. And lived in Massachusetts for a bit, and now I'm up in New Hampshire, and I'm not leaving New Hampshire. I'm going to be going kicking and screaming if I gotta, but never going back to New York. My family's all still there.
Yeah,
but yeah.
You have some like property like that to have the trees and the grass, and not as much like urban.
Yeah,
like the animals.
Just everything. Just feeling an energy difference, I think too.
It's all about energy. It's for sure. When I go to California, I feel home. I'm not going to California anytime soon. I mean, I don't even get into that, but everyone knows why I wouldn't be going to California anytime soon. But when I get off the plane in California, I'm like, maybe it's just the weather, but I think it's the energy. I always say it's the energy. I get off and I'm like, damn, I belong here. So when it gets better, I'm going to die in Carmel. Said it here.
Yeah, it's
a lot of death tonight. Sorry.
Yeah, well, you can't help it. That time of year.
Yeah.
It's cold.
It's cold.
The trees.
Cold in Florida. It's terrible.
Yeah. Even today was horrible. The weather was awful out of nowhere. It was beautiful, bright and sunny this whole morning. We go out, we go grocery shopping, we get out of the store. It's like a massive snowstorm. Like we left. It was kind of cloudy. We went in the store and then come out of it, blizzard. And I'm literally like, you ever see Perfect Strangers?
Yeah.
That show in the
Yeah.
intro, and they're in Chicago when it's windier. But like I'm like fighting the wind. Like it's
I thought
like
I had it bad with rain today.
crazy.
Now I'm like, shouldn't be complaining. That's
And it's like
insane.
white knuckle driving on the way home. White out conditions completely. We saw
Yeah.
like 2 people pull over because they just couldn't even handle it.
I wouldn't even try
yeah.
to drive in that ever. Like that's insane. I
It's-
can't
yeah,
even. I can
New
barely
England.
drive in the rain on like flat roads.
Yeah, that's New England for you. If someone was all about climate change and they came up to New England, they'd be like, "Oh my God, it's happening every day here." That's New England.
Get in your bunker.
So, in terms of the Frazetta legacy, what have been some of your proudest moments? Some of the moments that made you go, "Yeah, we're doing it right. Grandpa would be proud."
Definitely the Eisner Award, winning that for the Taschen book that we put out last year. That was a really, really exciting moment because I had to fight for that book. It's the lawsuit, part of the lawsuit, and when we got it actually in hand and it was done, when I had like reoccurring nightmares that this book wasn't going to happen. It took so many years, and then when it was finally done, I was like, oh. And I knew I'm like, my grandpa would be really, really happy to see his name in a book, like a bookstore like that, a publisher like that. I mean, it's like, top. So that was great. And then this action figure really has gotten me excited. This Dark Wolf action figure that we released. And that was just pure grit. The fans have been saying for years, requesting, please, someone make a Dark Wolf action figure, someone. And we had been asking everyone. We're like, come on, like every big company you could think of. We were pleading with them, nothing. So we were like, well,
no way. What? Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're too busy, not interested. I don't know.
Was McFarlane too busy over there with DC Comics?
They're all just too good for Frazetta. And Mezco did do a great Conan, and that inspired us.
Frazetta's too good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was being facetious, but yeah. So it inspired us, and my partner Joe of Frazetta Girls and Life. He was like, you know what? He's like, put his head down for 8 months, and he got to work and figured it out. And by God, we did it. I mean, it's still stressful, even getting I've just finished up packaging them tonight, but getting them and making sure like that they actually arrive, or they here. So all of those, every time we get through something, we create something new, we make something better. They're all little moments where I'm like, all right, we're doing the right thing. We're honoring Grandpa. He would be proud. That's
fantastic. I saw somebody in the chat before had mentioned that they actually got one of those. Cool. I believe it was there it is, Cantonese Comic Kids. So Sarah, thank you for Dark Wolf action figure.
That's Jeff. Thank you, Jeff.
There you go. Yeah, it looks great. Are there plans for any other action figures down the line, or statues or anything like that?
So much. We have so much coming down. Like, I mean, we're just, we always say that like, we're really just getting started. It's our new motto. And it's true. Like, we have so much lined up where we want to just make everyone constantly say, how do you guys do this? How are there, because there's only a few of us working here, but that's what we do. It's you, like I said earlier, if you really want something to grow and be amazing, you have to be all in. And that's in the last couple of years. I mean, I've fallen off a couple times, but in the last like 8 months, I've been so focused where I'm like, no, nothing's going to stop me. I'm going to blow this brand up for Grandpa and for the fans. I mean, like I said, the action figure, everyone's been amazing and supportive, but the action figure is like community is especially wonderful because it's almost like getting to provide for children. Their inner little boys and girls come out when they're like, where's my action figure? And it's so cute to me. Like, and they're like, playing. And again, it brings me back to the Barbie. Like they have like the hands and like, oh, where's my arrow? Or, it's just, they're fun. It's fun problems to have when a problem occurs. And then people showing you doing the YouTube videos and the pictures and like comparing them to their other action figures. I mean, it's like being like Santa Claus. It's great.
Yeah. It's awesome, man. We're doing 3D printed figures right now, and they are in action, um, where there is no action
Yeah.
to them. The
Yeah.
action comes from the imagination, of course.
Yeah. Hey, there's
But
great. I love those.
yeah, I can't wait till one day we get to a point where we have articulation and movement and things like that, because it brings me back to like what you were talking about, to when I was a kid, and you make these things come to life. And hell, who am I kidding? I still collect and have action figures every now and then. I'll see one, and as long as there's any money for it, I'm like, I gotta get that one. But there's things about that it brings it to life. It's like this thing now that you loved, and it was 2-dimensional, and now it's 3-dimensional and exists, and you can pose it and place it and do these things and have it exist alongside the other things that now exist. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's
I
it
can't imagine seeing that come to life.
Yeah, it's so cool. And Tigra is up next. So she's
Oh,
gonna
nice.
yeah, so she's gonna have her panther with her, and it's really cool. Speaking of accessories, and again, feeling like a little kid.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think I'm gonna get into action figures. I'm like, Barbies don't move enough. Now it's not as fun.
Do they have? Are you up to date with Barbie lately? Do they have articulation at this point?
I don't know. I haven't really. I'm not interested in the new things.
You're not scoping out the competition and being like, hey,
No.
Barbie can move now. The arm, the elbows bend.
No, I don't like what they did with Barbie. Like 90s Barbie was everything. I mean, and then 50s, anything 90s, and then 50s to 90s. That was the bar. Then they started like copying Bratz dolls, and I'm like, be original, be Barbie, be Barbie. But no, they're not doing that. They're
Yeah,
catering to
be
everyone
the
else.
trendsetter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not a lot of trendsetters out there anymore.
No, no, a lot of followers and a lot of regurgitators.
Yeah, it's disappointing, to say the
Um,
least.
so you brought up something about dedication and about throwing yourself into the work, into the job, into the passion of what you're doing. And that is something I talk about a lot on this channel. A lot about the entrepreneurial spirit, a lot about giving yourself to everything that you're doing, because you can't give like part-time or less work and expect full-time or more results. There's always people looking for an easy path, a quick fix, that kind of a thing. We live in an instant gratification type world, and if it's not instantly done and the results aren't there, a lot of the times people go, well, I guess it's just not worth doing, and they'll give up really early. As far as the perseverance that you've had to display along the years regarding this and maybe many other things too in life, would you care to touch upon some of that?
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. It's like because of the society we live in now and the internet and everything just is seemingly quick, you have a kind of a delusional outlook on life. Most people do. I say to entrepreneurs, you got to give it 7 years before you're even making anything. And I mean, I had the name Frazetta behind me. I have the greatest fantasy artist to ever live, and even with that, it was difficult because it's still a business. It's an online business. You're having to figure out customer support, how to handle that, how to handle just making merchandise that's good enough to stand on its own, and people want to keep buying it and buying it because they're like, oh, we know the brand, we recognize it, we know the quality, we know the support we're gonna get. It's and then always, like you said, you have to you can't just work on it 3 days a week. It has to be everything to you. You have to live and breathe it. So you better pick something you really love, because it's gonna be everything, and no amount of money is gonna make up for something you're not passionate about, because it's your whole life is going to be gone, and you're going to be looking back and going, what the hell did I do? So if you want to just be a theater actor and live a certain way, do that. If you want to build a business and you don't mind being in the studio till 12, like you go through at 12 p.m. and you're still packaging things and you're getting some angry customers, and you kind of have to throw yourself under the bus and say, hey, I am so sorry, like this is all my fault, and take accountability. It's a lot of that. It's a lot of putting out fires, and that's what an online business or any business looks like. It's constantly managing, and and praying that everything goes smoothly so you don't lose a hell of a lot of money, because that's happened too. I mean, I'll tell a story. When it was when, I don't even know what year it was, but we were, just scraping by, and I had like 4 other jobs at the time. I was not all in with Frazetta Girls, and we had one of our first shipments of our full graphic t-shirts lost in customs, and it was all paid for and everything. I mean, it was all of our last money that went into products, and they were just gone. And I remember I was with Joe, poor Joe. I had like a full-on nervous breakdown. I'm like, what are we gonna do? But those are the things that you look back and you go, oh my God, you remember that time? Remember when we were there in that stage? And that's the fun of it. It's like you're in like your own little video game, like, building. So if you can keep that mindset that it doesn't end, like you don't get to a certain point and go, okay, now I can rest. I mean, it's forever, especially if you're your own boss. Good luck retiring. We're never going to retire, Peter. We're in it.
You don't mean you just, one day you stop and you kick your feet up and you just smoke the cigar and you do nothing and you're just like, yeah, you do that. You go do that job there. I'm not going to do nothing today.
Never. I'll be at a little old granny on Frazetta Girls going, oh, you get your action figure yet?
We're doing it wrong then.
Yeah, we can go live in Europe and just kick back and say, hey, I don't want to work. I mean, I saw a lot of that.
The truth be told, I don't think we would know how to relax on that level.
No, I could never. I have to. I honestly said, I'm like, I don't want to go on vacation. I don't want to go anywhere if I'm not incorporating work in it as well, because I have to have let's say I'm going to Spain in October. Okay, well, I can have one leisure day. The rest of the days have to be work, and then like maybe another leisure day on the back end. Probably not. Otherwise, I'm too much in my head. I can't be there. That's a bad place to be. Unless I'm in the zone creating, but that's, not on vacation. I'll just be in my head.
Yeah.
I don't want to be there.
I hear you. I can't just relax and just, veg out. Because I just sit there. I'm like, 10, 15, 20 minutes into it. I'm like, all right, can I stop doing this now? Can I go do something now?
Yeah, that feels like work. Relaxing is work. Now, unless I have to, the only time I don't feel like that lately is if I get to go to like a spa, and then I'm like, all right, this makes working a little bit better, because then like you have a goal of like the spa days where like I'm going to be at like the Baccarat. I don't even know how to say it correctly because I haven't been there much, but I will be. But when I look forward to like, okay, I could get behind a nice massage, the steam room, the sauna, then I can relax. So it has to be a little bougie, and then I can if we're on yachts, I'm sure we could relax, right, Peter? Like we could
I guess. I'll be like, oh, who put a hole in the side of the ship? Wasn't me. Looks like we have to go back.
That's sick.
But yeah, it's something I think that when you can't sit still, and it's not like in an ADD kind of way or something like that or whatever, but it's something where I don't know if this is the way it is for you, but for me, I get ideas going. And then I have to act on the ideas, and then I think about the other things that I'm doing, and I gotta go, oh, okay, well, I could do that now, and then I could do this instead, and I'll do that. And whether it's a drawing or a story or something with the business or whatever it may be, it's the worst thing to me. It's like a really weird kind of torture for me to just be told to just sit there and watch some TV, do nothing. I'm like, really?
No, and maybe that's why like those movies that we like to rewatch, like that's maybe the only time I can just really focus on that and not like think of other ideas. But it's getting even harder, because once you like start, that machine's going, it doesn't. Our brain's a computer, so it's programmed that way now. We're not going to stop. It's incoming ideas, incoming. I mean, I get overwhelmed with how much there is now, where I'm like, oh my God, okay, so what do I want to work on? You're doing the same thing. So it's like, how do I prioritize
exactly
the most important? Do I do it by my enthusiasm? Do I do it by actual importance? And that's kind of what I'm going through right now. It's a little bit of a challenge, but it's also exciting. I'm waking up every day like, all right, it's go time. Let's go get it.
It's interesting too, because you're leading me to my next question, which was that in terms of how do you kind of create a hierarchy of stuff to get done? How do you prioritize for you what you need to attack? What's the plan for the day? That kind of a thing.
Well, it's always the customers first because they're our lifeline. So if something has to be done customer support wise or product money making, that's number one. We have to have that to be able to funnel to the other things that we want to do. Like I mentioned earlier, that short film, well, it's all financed like by us because we're working really hard in Frazetta Girls, and then we're able to put a little bit of money towards other things. But that will always be until it's not. That's a hobby. So hobbies come last. But instead of doom scrolling on Instagram, time is going now to the hobbies, because a lot of the times we tell ourselves, oh, we don't have time. Well, how many hours a day are you playing video games? How many hours a day are you doom scrolling on Instagram or comparing lives or, looking
If
at
you've
celebrity
got time
gossip?
to waste, you've got time to work.
Exactly. So we actually have a lot of time, and the days I've noticed go by a little bit slower if you really are focused all day doing productive things. You're like, oh, you actually do have more time than you think. If you're wasting time and a lot of, getting together with all your friends every week, you're not committed. You're not. I mean, my partner, Joe, I wanted to strangle him for years because all he would do would be working. And I'm like, God, what? And he's like, this is what it takes. And I'm like, not everyone has to be like that. And he's right. And I come back at full circle and I'm like, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm here. I'm dedicated. And let's do this and let's build this as a team.
Yeah. And it's a struggle sometimes to prioritize that sort of thing. Depending on where you put your time and energy, of course, it can really get messy. There's a lot of people I see that are always in a spin of, well, how do you do this, you do that, you do the other thing, and make time for this and make time for that. And it really just boils down to, I think, just one simple thing. Do you want to do that? Because if you don't want to do that, you'll find so many ways to not do that thing. You'll find so many ways to not be dedicated to what it is that you want to do.
I think a lot of people myself talking anecdotally, I think like, I used fear, but I labeled it as so many other things. I'm like, oh, I am this or that or whatever. And it boiled down to, no, I'm just like lazy and fearful. I think both. They have a combination. It's like because the idea of something and talking about it is so much more fun than actually doing it. Like when we're really working at something, you're alone. Yeah. Like it sucks. Like, like I said earlier, my first drawing classes, they're hard. I'm like, oh God. And like 3 hours in, I'm just like, ugh. Like this is hard. But like afterwards, you're like, all right, I did it. Now I'm on the right path. Like little things add up. I started every single morning now for a couple months, getting up and walking. And I used to sit in my bed and look at my phone and get right to my emails. And I'm like, no, it's not. I'm not in a good place if I do that. So get up, walk. Along for a while and let everything kind of compartmentalize. Going and being, physically active. For me, I have to, otherwise I'm a basket case. So it's like finding like the little hacks that work for you to keep you as your best self. So you definitely have to put yourself in that category. A lot of people are like always, caring for their family members, which is fine, or they have kids, or you have to prioritize yourself, or you're not going to get to those things. And you're going to feel, what I see from most people and myself, you start getting resentful of the world. And it's like, you have no one to blame but yourself. You have to just make it a priority and say, hey, I got to show up as the best version of me. So these are the things I have to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. And everyone's different. That's the thing, is that there's no easy fix or easy solution to say, well, this is what you should do. You could say what you do. You could say what works for you. You could share your experience. But at the end of the day, maybe for that person, that's not possible. They could be in a
Right.
totally different space in a totally different way,
Totally.
and that's it. Everybody's got to figure out what works for them.
Got to
And
tap into you with everything, life, art,
exactly.
find you.
Yeah, 100%. Um, so when you're coming up with different strategies in terms of what to do and move forward with various things with the business, um, how do you go about that? How do you brainstorm with that? Is there dictatorial control here? Is it a totalitarian regime at the Frazetta department, or is it like there's a committee, there's other people that need to approve of things? How does that work?
It's really just Joe and I. And I mean, Joe's my soundboard. He'll tell me if it's a bad idea. He's very honest. If you ever meet Joe, he's just brutal at times, but it's very, in my opinion, efficient. I mean, it just, and he's usually, I wouldn't give him so much power if he wasn't always freaking right. I mean, I'm a stubborn one. I'm very much a product of my grandpa's Sicilian blood and my grandma's Irish blood, and oh, what a combination. So for me, it's like really tough to say, all right, I might not have the best ideas, and sometimes I do have good ideas. And when we come together and we say that's a good idea, then we know we have something and we move forward. Now, it's not always going to be like a major success by any means, but it's proven to be pretty good if we both agree. And anything that we have disagreed on, and one of us was the fascist in the situation, something went wrong and it fell apart. So now we know that we need each other, and it's gotta be like this always going forward. So I think it's good to have another person that you can really trust, and they can tell
Yeah,
you when you suck.
that's a great point, because I've seen a lot of people feel like over the years you have to compromise on everything, including compromising on yourself and on your goals. And when you're trying to achieve a goal, I find that it works best when no one's compromising and you're
Yeah.
working together on the same plane to achieve the thing you want to achieve. But you have to have people that are going to help each other to be honest, to stay honest, and to keep each other in check. If you don't have that, and if you have people that are surrounding you and everyone's like, oh, yeah, yeah, great idea, or people that are like, oh, no, 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 horrible idea, horrible, every single thing, horrible, 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 and no input, no, well, what about this, maybe that, you could build upon this. If you need people who are in line and focused to achieve things. And over the years, I've seen a lot of people do the whole, well, everything, you got to compromise on this and you got to meet in the middle, and nobody should be happy about it. In some things, yes, but in terms of trying to achieve goals, you're never going to achieve a goal if everybody is just like, well, I guess we're going to do that now.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of people that are either like yes men, people pleasers, where, oh my God, and then that's really awful. And then there's a lot of people who are like, oh no, that's not good, but then they don't come up with any solutions. So you have to be, again, really, you have to care. You have to really care, because then if you really care, you're going to provide something, and at least have the courage to provide your ideas and really think about it. That's like with Joe. He cares, and he really, really listens, and he's really, really dedicated. So if he says that's not a good idea, he's going to tell me why. He's going to say, well, let
Yep.
me tell you all the reasons why this is too early in this stage. We could do it later on, but let me tell you why that can't happen now. So yeah, you have to have people that are just as excited about it as you are, and who are going to be passionate and provide something other than ego, or the opposite of just being like a shell of a human. Those
Yeah,
two are bad.
because that's the thing is, once you're really focused and caring about whatever that objective is, that goal, that project, whatever that purpose is, it's beyond yourself. And now
Hmm.
your needs aren't, well, am I going to look good in this? Am I getting enough
Right.
money or credit or this or that? Or,
Yeah.
everything starts being about the I and starts being about the objective. And that's when
Yeah.
you can actually make better decisions. But you need two to tango, or more, depending who
Yeah.
you're
Or
working with.
more. No, if you can get more, God bless. I mean, it's an amazing thing. It has to come in a very organic way. That's what I'm finding on this journey. It's like don't go looking for it. Just stay really focused, and the right people will come to you, and you'll know. Just ask questions. Don't get too excited and go. Oh, don't be like so eager. Just when you because and then all of those things come when you believe in yourself and you know you're on the right path, and you're confident in what you're doing, and like you said, you're not just compromising everything, because that would make you then not very confident in yourself. So yeah, I think that's all good things to have in the back of your mind when doing anything in life.
Yeah, yeah. I think we see a lot of compromise nowadays where people feel like, well, we should do it like this, I guess, because they have a good point too, and then that person is also feeling the same way, and so everyone is like halfway in the points and in their purpose that they're trying to get across. And then everyone else on especially in business, the customers then look at it and go, why is it all half-assed? It's like, well, because
Yeah,
everyone's making these half-assed compromises
yeah,
as
and
opposed to going out there and being a visionary, being,
like
true
Frazetta.
to what you want to. Exactly.
I mean, he
Exactly.
didn't compromise at all. I mean, he's like he had some people. He had like his early friend Roy Krankle, who was his mentor, and Roy Krankle helped him so much in the beginning of his career. And that's because it was the same thing, like kind of how like Joe is to me. Roy Krankle was very honest to my grandpa. He was like, "Listen, I'm going to shoot you straight, Frank. That Conan head looks like crap. You need to redraw him, and he needs a neck." Like he told him he didn't have a neck, and scraped the head off of Conan the Adventurer #1. He scraped the head off. And my grandpa let him do that. My grandpa probably would have like punched someone in the side of the head if they touched his painting, but because it was Roy Krankle and he respected him so much, he's like, you can tell me when I'm wrong or I need to improve on things. But as far as like, no offense to them, but like a lot of the publishers or people that were commissioning for him for these pieces, he was like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to give you what you need, and you don't know you need this until you see it, and then you'll be like, oh, he was right. And a lot of the times he was, he pushed those boundaries, and he said, no, I'm the artist. You're the businessman. Just shut up, do your job, and I'll do my job. We need more
Yeah.
of that.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And we also need people who know the difference between arrogance and confidence. There's that
Absolutely.
there's that level in which someone might hear that conversation and go, well, isn't that a really kind of bad attitude to have? But it depends on what experience is backing up that attitude, what kind
Yeah.
of knowledge, what kind of wisdom, perspective, etc., that's backing up that attitude. Are you coming in there and you have nothing to show for it, and you're like, it's my way or
Right.
the highway?
Well, then,
you
yeah, you're
know
out. You're done.
it's like,
But
well,
if you come and deliver greatness, you got, yeah, there's levels to it.
exactly. So there's a
See, that's what
lesson
you
to
gotta
learn of like, well,
grow
you
in the
gotta,
dark. Yeah.
yeah, you pay your dues to get to the
Yes.
point where people go, you know what, I think that Frazetta guy might know what he's doing.
He had to get Conan's head scraped off and pay his dues. And I mean, God, when he was comic houses, they were telling him he was terrible. Every artist that was ahead of him, career wise, like Ralph Mayo, and they were all saying, Frank, you don't know anatomy. You're not good. You're not as good as you think you are. And they humbled him really quick. And he was like, all right, like I'm going to listen to them. They're my mentors. And he did. So after he did that, and he got really humbled and worked really hard, then when he finally arrived and he said, now I am who I think I am, now I'm going to tell the people who don't know anything about art that, hey, this is art.
Exactly. Yeah. It's and like you said, the same thing. He went in there, and his mentors, the people that he respected that were above him, were like, sit back, learn something right now.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
eventually, exactly, he got to that point. Uh,
Yep.
but that's the thing, is that's the understanding that needs to really take place. There's not a whole hell of a lot of that takes place nowadays, because a lot of people don't want to be told, hey, look, sit down, listen, and it's going to be for your benefit. That's the thing. They go, well, sit down and listen. So you don't like me, you don't like what I'm doing, there's a personal thing, etc., and it gets really weird real fast. And it's like, no. If anything, the reason that I'm telling you to do this and giving you that speech and that in this time is because you have potential and I'm trying to help guide you. And there's a big difference. That attitude is it's few and far between nowadays, and it's unfortunate.
No, you have to have humility when you're at anything in infancy. You have to have the just self-awareness and look at it and go objectively and say, this is not good, but why would it be good? I haven't put in any time. How would it just be great? Nothing works like that in life. I mean, I think humans, a lot of the times we forget we're part of nature. It's not how it works. We're we're in this system, and we have to realize that we have to abide by certain rules.
It's because so much of human nature is to twist and manipulate nature to our will.
Yeah.
So it's like finding a way
True.
to coexist with it is sometimes like that's not how this works. Nature's supposed to do what I want it to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
nature sometimes is like, you know what? Sit down. And it'll remind you real
that's
fast.
Arrogance. That's what you were saying before. Like that's what I think is arrogance, as opposed to like confidence. That's arrogance, thinking you can manipulate this, that we don't even know what the hell's going on and why we're all here. It's like, have some humility.
Since the dawn of time, how many stories are there like that? Every single great civilization, it's like they were doing fine until all of a sudden they thought they were godlike. And then the gods had to come along and remind them. I don't think so.
Sit down, children. Yeah.
Yeah.
And coming again.
We keep doing like what
keep
the
doing
hell's
it.
wrong with us?
It's kind of funny.
Thousands of years of stories that are like, look,
just
maybe,
repeating.
And when they're doing these, they're like, maybe this will teach the next generations, over and over and over and over. Every generation or whatever has that story, and they're all cautionary tales over and over. And some idiot is always like, hey, this seems like a really good guidebook, and everyone else is like, it's a cautionary tale, and they're like, you sure? How do we know unless we do it?
Yeah, let's try it. Let's just see what happens. And here we are again. On the brink.
Man. I got some questions for you in the chat. Let's see. We got Comics for Life says, has your working with Dynamite ignited a love for comics to the point of collecting, or did you read comics since your youth?
Great question. So no, I did not read comics. And Dynamite definitely ignited my love for comics. I was not Opus. There were a few that were okay. They were good, some of them. But it didn't ignite my love for comics. It ignited a lot of frustration. But with Dynamite, they were amazing to work with, and they've been listening to us because we talked about. They care about this community, and they want to honor Frazetta's legacy. So, in the best of their ability. So, working with Bill Willingham, who's writing the Fire and Ice series, and working with Leonardo Manco, who's the artist, and then of course on my Vampirella series. I mean, it's just been a lot of creative freedom, and I can't wait for the rest of Fire and Ice to come out. It's by far my favorite comic series.
That's awesome.
Biased, but
Yeah, well, I mean, who could blame you? Art Rich, this isn't a question, but here's a comment. Says, I went to the Frazetta Museum in Pennsylvania and met Frank Jr. It was awesome. Cool.
It's good to go see the original art wherever you can.
HR has a question here. It says, is there some unseen artwork of Frank? I saw a Santa Claus drawing I haven't seen before. I want to see that. I love Santa drawings.
Oh yeah, that's on our Frank Frazetta Art Museum Instagram. I believe it's not too far down. It's more of a recent post. And that was a personal work that my grandpa did for me. The little brunette girl in that piece is me, and then the little blonde is my sister. So yeah, it's a nice piece. But there's quite a few watercolors that maybe haven't been seen, and then some of his earlier works, and we're working on getting those published. So people will see them soon.
Very nice. JW Learning says, does SARA know much about Frank's painting process?
Not a whole lot. I wouldn't speak on things I don't know. As I gain more knowledge in painting, and when I do it, I'll probably be able to explain it a little bit better.
All right. Comics for Life says, you seem comfortable in front of the camera. Have you ever contemplated starting your own channel?
Thank you, Comics for Life. I have a YouTube. I'm not very active on it, but it is Frazetta Girls, and there is one official episode of Frazetta Fridays with Frazetta Girls, and it's on the Warren Legacy, and the next one is going to be on Fire and Ice. So that's starting up. Again, discipline, the technical difficulties that you and I were talking about, Peter. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Some people make it look really easy. It's like, it's not. It's a lot of learning curve.
Yeah, it definitely isn't easy. I've been doing this now like 5 years or so on YouTube, maybe a little longer. And I'm like, I think I know what I'm doing now. And then I'll have a show where I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
The hell I'm doing.
I'll have a show. I'm at the end of it. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so glad people are here watching, but I don't know why.
I don't know. Oh, wait, we're going to get to a therapy term. That's imposter syndrome.
Right. And that's just called disbelief.
I know. I'm kidding. I hate all these things that I know about therapy now. Unlearn them.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm incredibly grateful for every single thing. I feel like in general, it's like someone, I'll frame it like this. Somebody was talking one time. I saw the conversation on the Twitter. Talking about people pretending to be this, pretending to be that, they're doing this, they're doing that. And it got me thinking, I'm like, aren't we kind of all pretending to do things? Like no one comes down and officially, at least not in my experience, has ever officially granted me the capacity and authority to do X, Y, Z with my life. I've had to manifest that vision for my life by pretending that this is what I'll do, and this is what I'll be, and this is how I'll be, and this is what'll happen. And then hope it works out the best with a lot of work. And so it's always just, I feel so incredibly grateful for whatever this is, that I'm allowed to pretend my life away. Because it's just, I don't know what the hell else I'd do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I get what you're saying there. I think though, like you're doing it, so you're not pretending. Maybe they're alluding to people who are, like you said earlier, taking more of the shortcut and then expecting that instant gratification, or they're because there are a lot of phonies that just want to do it for money.
Yeah, like maybe faking or being a fraud is maybe different, but like the pretending thing. And they were discussing with someone who's doing it that they're pretending they're this thing, and I'm like, what they're doing actually doing?
Yeah, they're doing it. It's not pretending. Yeah, that's an interesting debate. I'd like to get in on that. But like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, and I almost did get into it, but I was like,
I like that you called it Twitter still, because I can't call it X. I just can't. I can't. It doesn't X. What?
I've had this conversation before. There's no right way to say it. But you go, I'm on X. Find me on X. No. You'd be like, I didn't know you were that kind of person. I'm currently on X right now.
Yeah, I'm at Burning Man on X.
It's like, what? Okay.
No.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, maybe
did you bring some for the rest of us?
Yeah. Love each other.
So like X. I'm gonna dead name that sucker till the end of time.
I'm with you.
And I don't know what a Twitter is, but it's there.
Sounds good. I like it. Twitter. Tweeter.
Let's see. We have one other question here from Chris Bouchard. It says, any news on Death Dealer 2099?
I do have some news. So nothing too official yet. We're working it out, but I think we are going to get into indie publishing. Yay! So another endeavor with Frazetta Girls. We're gonna be putting that out with Andy Bellinger. Details coming soon, but we are not going to let that title die just because Opus got into some bad decision making. We're going to try to pick up some pieces and revamp some things on our end. Have full control, so if things ever go out of control, it's all my fault, and then I can control that. And that's the best thing, to be able to have the responsibility and I
love that you said that. There's a powerful beauty to that concept that many people want to run away from, and then they wonder why they feel powerless and helpless all the time. And it's like taking on the responsibility and owning your failures and your successes.
Yeah,
It's the only way to be.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, I've had some things where, like with Opus, where I'm like, oh God, how did I not see that coming, or why, but God, some people are really good at talking in circles and talking until they can't anymore. But yeah, it's just having, I mean, Frazetta, it's too big of a name. It's my grandfather, and he's so important to everyone, and especially me. I can't have that happen again with anything Frazetta related, and it's not going to happen under my guidance ever again, ever.
Man, we need a SARA Frazetta running many facets of the world right now.
Thank you, Peter. Coming for local government first.
Well, that's never going to happen. But the other things, maybe they could. Oh man. If people even had, that are in the capacity that they should have, this kind of power, this kind of responsibility, even half of the dedication that you exude in terms of maintaining the legacy and everything revolving around your grandfather's work, we would be in a very different place right now, creatively, and I think even culturally across the board, to be perfectly honest. So
I have hope. I have hope that more people, I mean, I really do hope people will be courageous enough to say, I don't like this, and this is not how it's going to happen. I mean, there are a lot of ideas that I have just surrounding comics, that things that need to be changed structurally. I love that I see more and more people going independent, and artists being able to keep the money and keep the rights. And it's a really important thing. But like you said, we both said earlier, you have to bear that responsibility. Then you have to take it all on and say, if something goes wrong, and I have to feel that, I have to sleep with that, and I have to know that, okay, this is really bad, but I'm gonna make it better. And yeah, you have to just have that integrity. I think a lot of people, they don't. I see it more and more, like in business and comics especially, they don't like care about the customers. I'm like, how do you not care about your fans are everything. If you don't have you're not giving them the product, you're not, with no explanation, you're not answering emails. What are you doing?
Yeah, they're viewed so often as a burden, not as the thing that is enabling you to do what you do with your life.
It's I don't know how we've arrived here. It was always, business 101, the customer, a customer's not always right, but the customer is always first. That's for certain. So I don't
At the very least, everyone should agree the customer is always important.
Right.
Like it is a very important part of this thing called business, because you take the customer out, and I don't think many businesses survive.
Do you think it's because we all got like social media and everyone has like a face, and now everyone maybe thinks they're important? I try to think about that. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's a strange thing. I don't know if it's like an ego issue. I mean, it probably is a little bit of that, at least. Because you have to humble yourself to be like, all right, I have to answer to this individual who has these expectations, which are usually pretty minimal, to be perfectly honest. A lot of people go like, oh, the customer is so demanding. But usually not. And
yeah, and when you're like really honest, I've noticed this too, when you're really honest and you tell them exactly what happened, they're like, hey, I'm a human, I get it.
Yes.
When you try to lie and make some like crazy thing up, it's like, what are you doing? Just be a person, damn it. Say, hey, the label didn't print and I didn't go back and check. I'm so sorry. I'm refunding your order. I'm going to send you something. I'm going to send you a gift. I'm going to make you up for this. Like just be a decent human being to other people, and it will get you pretty far.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, have you never had an experience where you felt that as a customer you were wronged? you know? So like
Right.
why would you then want to perpetuate and put that experience onto someone else when they are perceiving to have been wronged in this scenario?
Big brands that I really love, like a couple of brands I've noticed where they're doing much better than I'm doing. Like I have, there's levels to it, but like I've gone in like super aggressive and angry about a couple of things going wrong and or like bigger orders, and the professionalism and the way that they handle it so quickly, and it's like so smooth, and they're so kind back. There's no like emotions going back and forth. They just kind of diffuse it. And I'm like, that's how you do it right there. Like, so I have people that I look up to where I'm like, those are the levels I want to attain one day, but it takes time.
I mean, it's so crazy that the other day I was at the grocery store and they do this thing where your reward membership thing is tied into an app, and everything's tied into a damn app.
Yeah.
Give me coupons to cut out,
Pockets full of coupons.
Yeah. So I had this coupon thing on this app, and the app wasn't loading up. And I was trying to tell them, the app isn't loading up on the system and this and that and whatever. And they're like, oh, yeah, don't worry. We'll put it through. And I was like,
that's nice.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very unusual interaction. Very rare customer service taking place, because usually it'd be like, well, too bad. That ain't going to happen. Yeah. And I was shocked.
Got to get the manager. He's not here now, but if you want to come back at 9 p.m. No.
Like, no. Oh.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's strange that stuff like that is now exceptional. It's before it was pretty commonplace. But yeah, the contempt for the customers is always so strange to me within these kinds of industries, where it's like, almost as if it's like going to a restaurant and you ordered a hamburger, and then they gave you a pizza, and you're like, I wanted a hamburger, and they're like, yeah, but the pizza's good, so just eat it. And you're like, but that's not what I wanted. And they're like, I don't really care what you want. This pizza's perfectly fine. Oh, do you want to just waste good food? Oh, so that's how it is, huh? You just waste good food instead of eating the nice pizza that I made you. And you're like, I didn't want a friggin' pizza. I wanted a hamburger.
That's like that's like a freaking cartoon episode. Like, they'd be like, what kind of matrix am I living in?
Yeah, and then they're like, hey, guys, this guy doesn't want to eat the food we're giving him. He wants to throw it away. And then everyone's like, pizza. Oh, what a food racist.
God, how arrogant for him not to eat the pizza.
It's like it's really
somewhere else. What?
It's like, what? Oh, you got a problem with pizza? No, I like pizza. I just don't want to have her. Oh, no, you have a problem with pizza.
Pizza racism.
I guess, yeah. We got a food racist over here. He doesn't want to eat the pizza. He wants a hamburger, this guy.
That will probably come next. I wouldn't even be surprised. I think there was some crazy article about food and how you're an elitist if you eat certain foods. And I looked at the article and I'm like, what? I'm like, I need to reboot my phone, the whole algorithm. If I'm seeing this, something's wrong. I got to stop talking to certain people,
like
or talking
in the mouth of.
Now it's gonna be bad after this. It's gonna be giving up so many different things, and I'm like, I didn't want to talk about it. I was talking about it, but don't listen to me, phone.
You ever see In the Mouth of Madness with Sam Neill, the John Carpenter movie? Oh man, you gotta watch that. That's a good movie. There's a part in it, because he gets sucked into this fictional world, this simulated reality that is actually slowly taking over reality through the author's books. And there's a part he's just losing it because everything is so crazy, and he's like, this is not reality, and that's all I feel sometime with some of the stuff I see out there with the weird, crazy, circular, lunatic style conversations that can happen. But yeah, it's
you gotta kind of just stay like in your own little bubble in the middle ground and stay in like that safe zone and be like, all right, that's happening over there and that's happening right and left. I'm just gonna be in the middle of my own journey, because holy crap, it's gone crazy.
I'll just keep doing what I gotta do. And
it's spiraling.
I've
seen it firsthand with a couple close people, and I'm like, oh man, well, I hope they come back. And they've gone to the dark side, or both sides are dark. They've gone to the sides. They need to come back.
Yeah. Let's get back. Come over here
Yeah.
again. Let's
Yeah.
bring it
Don't go
in.
down those rabbit holes, please, God. I'm like, no one wants to talk about this, you know? Ugh. Let's talk about creating and building and doing things we can control, Aliens, what are we going to do? What are we going
Speaking of
to
which, how did you know? Spicer McLeroy wants to know: have you ever seen a cryptid or UFO?
do? That's so funny. I don't think I have, to be honest. I mean, I've seen my grandpa said he did. Since this is about Frank Frazetta, we could tell his UFO story.
Sure.
He had a condo in Boca Grande, and it's on this little 7 Mile island, and his condo was overlooking the Gulf of Mexico, really beautiful. And he was always taking pictures or video recording, and he was taking an at-home video. This was like 1995. And he said this thing just appeared over the water, and it started like sucking up water, and he had it on video, and he sent it to the local newspaper. I think they might have ran an article about it, but I'm not sure. I've been asking them if it was in the archives. And then he like reached out to a couple other television stations, and they were like, we don't care about this. But I don't know where the video is. I remember my family going crazy about it and saying it was a UFO, and they were certain. But
Do you know what
probably,
year?
it was like 95.
95.
1995.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's just like the government be doing weird things like they do. Maybe not. Maybe it was an alien. I don't know. I don't have the answers. It'd be fun if they're out there and we're all like controlled by the aliens, the elites, and
Yeah.
this is all like an assimilation. That'd be like crazy. But I don't know. I like to like talk about it and theorize about it. It's like that. Wow, interesting.
Yeah. I go into
really
some
into it.
deep dives on this channel about it. I won't do that tonight because we're already at an hour 20, and you've been incredibly generous with your time. But there's so many different things with that subject. Man.
Yeah, I mean, I like to talk about it. It's a fun subject, but I mean, what are we gonna do? Like, if they are hiding it from us, we're gonna make them reveal it.
No matter what, whether they're here and existing and present and have been here and this and that or whatever, or no matter what, there's some kind of cover up in terms of something. There's an awfully lot of money and an awfully lot of different projects that have been revolving around that subject. And if it's a big load of nothing, then it's like, well, then what are you covering up?
Right. Oh, yeah.
So it's something else.
A lot we don't know, but maybe that's for the best.
But yeah,
maybe we get to live happier because we don't know.
I'd like to think that.
Well, yeah.
But
yeah. I don't know. Probably not. Probably live worse because we don't know. Peasants, you'll know nothing.
Sometimes it does feel like that.
Well, history repeating itself. That's just how it is.
Exactly.
Just work at your businesses and be grateful.
Garth Knight returns. Says, I'm late to the stream, but is the Frazetta documentary still in the works?
So we've had a little pause. We're working on some, just still pre-production, mostly finances. But we're gonna probably get that going towards more of the end of the year, and we want to spend some time on it. So I have no idea when the release would be.
And then Cantonese Comic Kids says, Sarah, will you and Bob do more in Vampirella Dead Flowers world?
Dead Flowers is dead. We had the 4 issues. I don't think we were maybe gonna do 6. We haven't really talked to Dynamite about it, but I think if we do anything, it will probably be a new series.
Have you guys done anything regarding like crowdfunding or anything like that?
That's probably going to come with our indie publishing endeavor when we do start getting into Kickstarter. But we haven't. Our business model hasn't really needed that yet, just because of how we've been structuring. But I think when we get into publishing, we're gonna probably have to do some crowdfunding.
Okay, very nice. Well, tap me on the shoulder when that comes
Definitely.
up, and have you on the show again for that. Man, oh man, thank you so much, Sarah, for being on tonight. We're almost at an hour 30. You've been very generous with your time, and really appreciate you being here, and the conversation. It was great. Had a blast.
Yeah, me too. Thank you for asking really interesting questions. Like I really appreciate it.
No problem at all. I can imagine. I've done an interview or two, and there, I'm like, try to avoid this question that she's probably heard 500 times.
Yeah, it's really refreshing. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. I might have got one or two in there, but I tried not to harp on.
No, you did great. You did great.
All right. Everybody in the chat, thank you guys so much too for being here tonight. Thank you guys for your questions, your comments, all that good stuff. Really, really appreciate it. You guys are the best. Really, really appreciate you guys always. Thank you so much. And again, Sarah, before you go, where can they find you?
Well, I'm on my personal Instagram at SARA Frazetta, and then all things at Frazetta Girls, every social media you can think of, even TikTok. We're back on it again. Probably will get banned for the third time, but here we go.
Why'd you get banned the 2 other times?
They're nudity, I guess, from Frazetta.
Well then.
It's art.
Oh, well, yeah.
How?
I mean,
I don't know.
That's, yeah,
It's, we could go on for a whole hour.
Yeah, I've seen PBS type shows now that are like blurring like the David and Venus de Milo, and I'm like, what did I just, what?
Oh, it makes me so upset. It really pisses me off. Like, well, again, we're afraid of being human. See what I mean? We're so disconnected from our.
But then they'll have like Caravaggio with like cutting off like the dude's head,
Right.
And I'm like, that's
murder.
Cool.
Yeah. Just put a pick in someone's throat, but don't show the genitals. Oh, God forbid.
Yeah, we only all have them.
I know. The nipple really gets me. I'm like, really? We're not over this by now? Like, what are we doing?
Listen, Sarah, all right?
Yes, sorry.
None of this on this show, or I don't want to get kicked off of the YouTube. I've already been demonetized. I've already been demonetized because I talk about certain types of things, I think. They didn't tell me. They were very, very vague. But I
did they demonetize you for real?
Yeah, they did. They demonetized me back in November.
That's why you have a great show,
Exactly. You can't just, exactly.
Every YouTube I watch, they all are demonetized. So, and I'm like, well, here we.
Yeah, I can't apply again till like I think the end of February, something like that. We'll see. I haven't been doing anything differently that I did before, so it'll be interesting. And I got demonetized 2 years ago, around the same time, and I don't know why still. So
maybe it's the aliens. They're like, he's on to us. We gotta get him. Get rid of him. Yeah.
It could be. But yeah, I mean, circles within circles are very, very controversial topics, Sarah. I don't think we can dive into the nipple.
It's crazy.
Anytime you draw a circle within a circle, bad news.
Well, you can guess my show will never be monetized. My Frazetta Fridays with Frazetta Girls. They're going to have me on the ban list right away. Like this, no, absolutely no.
Curvy things and circles and stuff like that. It's bad times, man.
Shapes. You can't have shapes.
Shapes.
Done.
Yes.
No
shapes. Naughty, naughty. All right, everybody, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate y'all being here. And Sarah, all the best to you. If you guys want, now is the time. The show's going to end. Go check out those links in the description of the show. Good stuff there. Get some Frazetta Girls merch and whatnot. We got frazettagirls.com linked up and all that good stuff. You guys check it out. Even a link to the museum as well, which was really cool to check out that site. So everybody, take it easy. I'll be back again. I got my old school calendar. Wednesday night. I got them all like written down in the corner. I'll be back Wednesday night, 9 o'clock Eastern. See you guys then. Until then, everybody have a great night and an even better tomorrow. See you guys soon.